A very good evening to our viewers. Thank you for joining us tonight on the evening review. My name is Evangelical. Tonight we are welcoming back to the platform for the first time this year Bishop Lukas Katenda. He is, of course, the Bishop for the Reformed Evangelical Anglican Church of Namibia, REACH, Namibia as it's called. And he is here to help us understand, among others, the role of religious leaders in this frantic election period. Thank you, Bishop. It's always a pleasure to speak to you. First time this year. What did we do to you?
Thank you very much. I thought you have given up.
No, we can't. We are not the kind to give up.
I expected it to pass by this year, but all of a sudden you are here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I managed to come.
Wonderful. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So maybe just to tell us, it's 3 or how many months? October and 2 months essentially left to the election, and this period is always a very the temperature is always very high in the political space, in society as a whole. What role do people like yourself play in just calming the temperatures, lowering the temperatures?
Well, we have a constitutional obligation, number one, to make sure our people understand their role in making Namibia more democratic. And it is an obligation of all of us as citizens, viewing ourselves as citizens, to carry out our mandate in terms of choosing leaders of our choice. But as you have mentioned, leadership choice in Africa and in Namibia in particular, Africa in general, and Namibia in particular, is associated with frictions. Who should be elected, who should not be, who is the best, who is not the best. And there we have to be careful in terms of our conduct in the public. There is a general consensus that the clergymen and the women should refrain from partisan politics. As far as party politics politicking is a concern, but somehow you will still have your own choice as far as actual voting is concerned. So on the surface, we have to appear impartial, we have to appear neutral, but it is also true that when election itself, the voting itself comes, you have only to vote for one candidate as a president and one political party. So that is left to us to keep to ourselves. But for some pastors, I think it is their passion, it is their desire to participate directly in party politics. That's also their right. But there is a general consensus and the resolution advisory that the ministers may appear to be neutral and impartial.
Yeah. The before independence, the people in your position were pretty explicit in their preferences. SWAPO in particular enjoyed a lot of support from
the church.
From the church. So, and some pastors got arrested, some got tortured because of that. Do you think that situation necessitated, the situation that persisted at the time, necessitated them to be explicit? Or do you think that even now today, those who want to be the same as those ones can still be explicit?
Historically, our situation was different. You start with the homelands, the Odenda plan, that tribal groups need to govern themselves. And by so doing, they had to rely on the traditional leaders that time. And the traditional leaders, most of them that time couldn't read, couldn't write. The next person who could be relied upon was either a teacher in the community and then a pastor. So we ended up having in all our Bantustan grouping governments, there were pastors in the Kavango, in the Caprivi, in the Ovambaland, in the Hereland, in Damaraland. You had some pastors still participating as maybe chairmen or something, because they were the people who could read and write. And as a result, some of them suffered very seriously as independence, war of independence was launched. They were regarded as not patriotic, not loyal. They were regarded as puppets and so on and so on. And some of them lost their lives and so forth and so on. Then as a result, you had some pastors who were strictly, explicitly, as you have said, aligned with the liberation movements. And it was necessary because the church then was the sole kind of institution the people looked at. And it was necessary also to do so because apartheid was condemned internationally. You don't have to say, to have some soft words towards it, because everybody else condemned apartheid, and it was fashionable for any person to be relevant to condemn apartheid. And when apartheid was done away with, now the church was left there and not knowing really what to what to do. And therefore, it was advised that it is in the interest of the clergymen and women to play non-partisan, neutral role. But it's very difficult, because when Toivo calls me to do a devotion at his party, and Matthews calls me, and Matthews is not calling me, people will think I belong to this party, and why am I not doing it to that party? But pastors must be there for everybody.
Yeah. The last point is important, because that is where I was coming. Today you officiated at the opening of the National Elective Conference of IPC. But it can't be coincidental, Bishop Katenda, that somehow there's always a pattern of you and IPC. You are the one, when Dr. Itula was, you sort of put your hands
My
on his
hands on
head.
him.
Yes, when he was confirmed as the party's candidate for this year's election.
Yeah.
And that was not even the first time also.
Yeah.
So what must your congregants think of that, as far as your neutrality is concerned?
No, they know. I stand open for an invitation. And I keep on repeating that any political party in Namibia that wants my service in terms of devotion, in terms of a sermon, in terms of a prayer, I am open. If you invite me on time and I have time, maybe I am in the area, I will make that provision to come. And this invitation must be really an invitation. It must be something written. You don't just call me, we need you tomorrow. You have to write me a letter, maybe a week or 2 weeks ahead of your event. Then I can see my schedule if I can accommodate you.
Yeah.
And most of the time, IPC may be lucky. Every time they invite me, I am either in town or in the north where they have the event. There is nothing to indicate that maybe I am a member or something. I don't have membership cards for IPC. I have a membership card for the church. And for that reason, IPC maybe think I am useful in terms of my teachings or something. It's up to them. They give me 30 minutes, 35 minutes to speak. Some of the political parties will invite me and they will give me 5 minutes. And then I will refuse to go there. I can't speak for 5 minutes. I don't know if they have a reason for following me other than that, or it is simply to say, we love your teachings.
Yeah. So the coincidence also here, Bishop, is that you are a child of Onamtai. where the SWAPO presidential candidate Nedumana Ndaitwah was born herself.
Yes, sure.
Why hasn't she seen SWAPO or her people in particular, not see this son of the soil, this guy, the boy from home, ever to come and preside at our events?
I'm looking forward maybe to the day when I have that opportunity within our SWAPO party. But so far, I have not received any invitation from them. I don't think it is the candidate herself. I think it is the machinery that maybe think it's not necessary or something like that. If I were them, I would do exactly what you are saying, but they have not done so. But in the coming 2 months, there is a shift. There is a dynamic shift within the party, you see. The Electoral College gave us some surprises there. And I hope people will begin to see that let us work together. It is also important for them, not for me, for them tactically as politicians. You need to know the quality you want. If you think this person is not of any quality, then you don't have to use them. But if it were me, and I know Toivo is a man of quality, I will try to negotiate, my friend. Let's do this. But they are not doing it. Instead, some of them are even blaming. Why are you going there and so on? I am a national person. I don't have to belong to political party to be relevant. I belong to the party of God, and the party of God is the church.
When you say, Bishop, that the SWAPO Electoral College produced surprises, what surprised you about
I'm surprised because I used to, in some sarcastic way, I advocate for youth inclusion. I always thought that the elders were too slow in integrating the young people in the system. And remember, if you are not passing on the power peacefully, somebody is going to snatch it from you. Forcefully. And what I saw there, it is a hint that young people were able to use maybe technology to converse among themselves and make sure that these elders are gone. Almost all of them, which is also not very healthy. You need also the wisdom of the elders. Maybe they don't have to be all there, but you still need them. So to our surprise, all the elders are gone. Many of them are young people who are in that list. Some of them are unknown politically, and some of them are in school still. I was teasing someone that all these names, I was mentioning them. So this name, I don't know them. I personally just don't know the face of these people, but they are there. I don't know others, but there are quite a number of people in that list. I have never met them. What does that mean to me as a voter? Voting for people I don't know.
Luckily, it's not a direct...
obviously, we will vote for the party. Yes, it is the case. And but people are no longer voting with the heart. They are voting with the mind.
Absolutely.
Mind means you are trying to read the situation, who are the people, what are they capable of, and so forth and so on. It's no longer just a heart, I vote because it's my party. I also have to vote because people are able to deliver. So those are the surprises I made. And as you have mentioned, there were some people who were very close to the candidate. And these people are not now close to the list. Maybe, I don't know how it will work out. There seems to be a shift. I may be wrong, but this is how I am interpreting it as a layperson. I see young people may have caucused because young people have ways of doing things while the elders are still operating on the primitive era of politics of loyalty. Young people are sending messages while they are in the meeting. Please don't do this. Be careful. So those type of things, you see, those are surprises to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but there are some friends as well.
Yeah.
Some people I trust. There are some people who have come on board who I think will be able to make some differences. Elijah Ngurare is one of them. I hope his return means also something for the youth. And I'm looking forward to see his performance again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We go for a very short break and then I return with Bishop Katenda. Our conversation on the evening review with Bishop Katenda continues. Now, Bishop, in your teachings today, if I can call it that way, at the IPC event, you spoke about the importance of moral leadership. You spoke out against tyranny. Some in our midst might have expected that when you go there, you just speak about how Moses walked through the Israelites
from Egypt
to
the promised land.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they thought you maybe just confine yourself to that, but you actually went into it's not uncharted waters per se, but in that space of leadership.
You see, clergymen are to be teachers, and we don't mince our words when it comes to teaching. And one of the reasons some people have a fear of inviting people like me to the meetings is the suspect that if we invite him, he will say things. And I will say them if they are correct. We have to teach. One of my responsibility, I teach at the church every Sunday. I have a day of Bible study during the week. I teach at the seminary. I teach practical theology and church leadership. I teach also religious and moral education at a local university to trainee teachers. All these things are creating a philosophy in my mind that the Bible is not just to be confined to the church worship, but it must also go in the public arena. And that's what we call public theology. And one of the reasons I accept all these things is in the realm of what we call public theology. Long time ago it was called contextual theology, but now we call it public theology. Theologians have to engage with the public. That's why when you invite me to your interview and I have time, I have to come. I have to come because you want information, and I have an obligation to give information. Some people are afraid of the media people because the media people can also be funny. We know how you behave if you want to destroy somebody. But I tend to say media is protected internationally, it's protected by law. As leaders in the community, we need to go out there and engage the media people. So teaching on leadership issues, this is what we want. We are talking about leading the country, and I warn them that politically you used to look at others. So Apple didn't do this, this didn't do this. It's now for you to look at yourself. The question I kept asking them is, what are you? Because you want to be elected, you want to be members of parliament. Now do self-introspection. If you are a leader, or you are simply an idiot, or you are simply a tribesman, are you a citizen who is willing to create a platform for all the Namibians to have equal opportunity, even those who don't believe like you? I think it's my responsibility to do that. And remember, I read the text from the book of Exodus. Moses was told by his father-in-law, choose men who are able, who are trustworthy, who cannot accept bribe. That's leadership. And put them in charge of 1,000, in charge of 100, in charge of 10, in charge of 50. This is what we want. You need to put them in charge of the parliament, in charge of the regional council, in charge of this is what the principle is, that we need people who are trustworthy. And we must not just talk people who are there. You talk to people who are here. Speak to yourself. This is what I was trying to bring them to themselves, so that they do self-introspection, not just SWAPO didn't do this, LPM that, government that. Yourself, what is that you can do? Yeah. So I think it's my responsibility, and the Bible is clear on these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You spoke earlier before the break, Bishop, about how young people at the SWAPO Electoral College seem to have really consolidated their position within that list. And we've also had very positive news from the likes of ECN saying that a lot of young people came out in numbers. I think I saw a figure of 900,000 young people out of the 1.4 million, meaning only 500,000 of registered voters could be classified as non-youth, yes. So are young people sending us a message here? Especially against all the troubles that they are going through right now, unemployment and other challenges?
I don't know on what scale that young people are prepared, because for me I appear not to see youth leadership, radical youth leadership. I don't see that. They are hanging on to the existing structures. And existing structures can be limiting, because even the celebration we have now, young people and all that, can be limited, because you never know what it will turn to look like in the next 5 years or so. What we need is not just young people trying to position themselves for positions, but we need also young people who articulate, young people who can influence the conscience of the people with incisive philosophy and ideology from outside, not just always inside of the political parties, because things can change. But I don't know, maybe they will be radical at the polling station, maybe, and if it happens, then we will know that young people are very serious. For now, they seem to be unsure whether to leave this party or to belong to that party. And some people think that if you have a majority of them in party A, that's a positive sign. Maybe, I'm not so sure. These are some of the things that are just there in the air. We will cross the bridge when we get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The final question to you, Bishop. You spoke earlier, we have 1 minute left. You spoke about the need for introspection in the political space. How about introspection in the religious space? We are bombarded with stories about pastors impregnating children, doing also raping children, especially these non-conventional pastors. But of course, there's been some also from the mainstream churches. The Lutheran Church, for example, there were cases in the
all
north.
the mainline churches.
Yes.
As well. Well, I can say that the new charismatic prophetic movement, neo-Pentecostals, if you like, because Pentecostalism is something else. We call them neo-Pentecostals. They are very hard to deal with. And if I say something here, they will be on my case. You don't know what you are talking about. You are confused. So it's very hard. It's unfortunate that we have charlatans in the religious sphere. But it is in the framework of the Constitution. Freedom of Freedom of religion, freedom of association. Within the established Protestant denominations, for me, we need to do a lot of introspection, and we need to go back to the drawing board in terms of preparing ministers for the gospel. The church seemed to have been sleeping for a long time, and it allowed the liberal interpretation of the Bible into the seminaries, and some of the pastors we have produced are not pastors with conviction to preach nothing but Jesus Christ, as we say.
Should we do what the likes of Rwanda are doing, where it's now a law that for you to posture as a preacher, you must have some formal theological qualification?
For me, the Rwanda government has gone, I don't know. Myself, I want all my ministers to be educated, but I'm also certain that the government has not given everybody an opportunity to be educated. And I don't want to exclude somebody because the government didn't educate them. So I have an obligation to educate them myself. I may not receive what is it, NQA, accreditation by NQA, but if my church believe that this is a proper introduction, this is a proper education, I can make this person might be a lay minister, a catechist, or a deacon, I think I must be allowed to do so. The church has just enough resources in this country. I just don't understand why we cannot do a good job. If we have to. But there are those who are trying, those of us who are trying. There are those of us who are trying to do this self-introspection and have proper religious leaders. A proper religious leader, my friend, it's not just a matter of education, it's a matter of spiritual formation, a strong spirituality, a prayerful life, a studious life, somebody who is exposed, somebody who is willing to go to great lengths to reach out to all people, and not to exhibit what Greek philosophers call the idiot behavior, where it is just about me, or the tribesmen, it's about my church. It is us. It is a communion. That's why we call it the Holy Communion. It's a fellowship. It's a communion. It's not a one-man show. It's a table of all Christians. They come together and they meet and they discuss. But unfortunately, we have a different kind of approach from some of our colleagues. We cannot blame them. They believe it is their church, it is our things, and they don't want to learn anything from anybody.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bishop, for coming through for the first time this year.
Thank you very much. I hope for the first and last this year.
No, we hope to have you very soon again. That's Bishop Lukas Katenda, of course, as usual, letting us into his ken of wisdom as far as religious and political leadership is concerned. Thank you for watching.